Definite Jux was a former record label founded and co-founded by the rapper LP and business manager Amiche Ezekwe in 1999. It hosted a lot of artists during the record label's heyday. Artists primarily known for their underground and alternative styles of hip-hop. Artists included Murs, former member of Living Legends, the duo Cannibal Ox, my former algebra teacher's favorite rapper Aesop Rock, Columbus's own gem Kamuteo, Deltron 3030 member Del the Funky Homo Sapien, and many, many more. Opinions will obviously vary, but Def Jux, for when they were still around, hosted some of the most unique and innovative rappers at the time. Even in 2025, the talent that this label had is undeniably some of the best the underground hip hop had to offer. But one MC from this label stood out like a sore thumb. Whether it was how graphic he could paint his lyrics with his brutally honest thoughts, or how he presented himself with his image at the time, the way he could tell a story on the mic is second to none. Who am I speaking of? Who is this specific rapper? Well, he's the illest four-letter word that you have ever heard before. Cage. Cage, also known as Cage Kennels, born as Christian Palko on May 4th, 1973, in Würzburg, West Germany. West Germany doesn't exist anymore since Germany isn't divided by East and West after the Berlin Wall was destroyed in 1989 and a reunification in 1990. Not saying that there aren't any differences, because there definitely is differences, just the economic differences are there. So, with that being said, Würzburg used to host a military base during the Cold War, and one of those garrisons was called Leighton Barracks. I'm not saying he was, but more than likely, Chris was born in Leighton Barracks or possibly a nearby military hospital. To say his childhood was rough is sugarcoating it, like adding a winter wonderland into hell. Chris definitely had one of the more interesting and I would possibly say sadder backstories of any musician I think I've ever read before. His father was a military police officer by the name of Bill Murray. Yeah, Bill. Because of his drug use, years later in junior high in his freshman's arm, and inject heroin in Bill Murray. Yeah, Bill troopers after threatening Chris and his mom with a loaded shotgun in school. And our dad's uncle was disciplined, so even means the risk for Winston, paranoid, and of environment surrounding him. It's Watch Orange by Anthony Burgess. After years of hell, Chris was let out the psych ward when he was 18 years old in 1991 from a psych ward program and began his rise to infamy. Originally going by the Alex the Worm King alias, based off the character Alex in A Clockwork Orange, the main character and also the main character in the movie made by infamous yet awesome film director Stanley Kubrick in '72. After years of recording multiple demos, he eventually met Pete Nice of famed hip-hop group Third Base. During the height of their career due to the Cactus album a couple years prior, Alex Worm King was featured on the Pete Nice and DJ Richie Rich album, who's another member of Third Base, their album Dust to Dust from April 1993. The song he was featured on was the 12th track called Rich Bring 'Em Back. Afterwards, Pete Nice and Alex, who shortly changed his rap alias to Cage, met Bobbito of Stretch and Bob, a legendary hip-hop radio show that ran in the 1990s that featured many rappers that wanted to become giants in the hip-hop world. Bobbito loved Cage's style so much he would become a regular guest feature on the show, and this would increase his popularity amongst hip-hop heads that listened to the show in the 1990s. Days prior to the release of the Dust to Dust album by Nice and Richie Rich, Cage was actually the last person to see the rapper Sub Rock alive. Sub Rock was a member of the hip-hop group KMD. One of the members, Zevlov X, was actually the brother of Sub Rock. But those unfamiliar, Zevlov X later became hip-hop supervillain years later. Rip, Doom, and Sub Rock. During this time, Cage had just signed a recording contract with Columbia Records, Third Base's label they were signed to along with Def Jam at the time. Unfortunately, due to personal addictions Cage was dealing with, he was dropped by Columbia and faced more depression. Trying to raise his newly born daughter, he would appear more on a different radio freestyles along with the rapper Necro. Necro, who was interested in Cage's style, contacted Bobbito and those two connected. In '97, Cage, with the production aid of Necro on both tracks, released Agent Orange and Radiohead on a 12-inch vinyl single. The track Radiohead was the A-side, with Agent Orange being the B-side on that vinyl. Agent Orange, with the sample of the main opening thing of The Clockwork Orange, the 1972 movie directed by, like I said earlier, Stanley Kubrick. The song from '72 was originally composed by female composer Wendy Carlos. Radiohead was originally featured on Stretch and Bobbito's show with a different sound. The beat and verses were faster in tempo, and the song had different lyrics in different portions of it originally. The songs blew up in the underground, and both Cage and Necro earned love for this project. Unfortunately, outside of these two songs and some demos with them on it, these were the last pieces of work that Necro and Cage done with one another. The problems are pretty well documented, and I don't want to get into it because it's before my time, and it's just nothing that I'm interested in discussing. But I wish there were more stuff with those two together. The songs were released on the newly formed Fondulum Records, a label founded by Bobbito. Cage, soon after, in or around 1998 or 1999, released a 12-inch called Mersh and Four-Letter Word.
This world's a commercial. I can't change the channel every day, try and kill it, but there's no ammo. And television heads is feds that wanna hurt you.
Not so long afterwards, he met the hip-hop duo The High and Mighty. He also met LP, who at the time was still associated with the hip-hop group Company Flow. He also met Camus Teo, who went on to become one of Cage's best friends. Camus then introduced Cage to his Megahertz members Copyright, Jakida Motormouth, and Cage Future. Cage also met with Fondulum artist Yak Balls, yes, that's his name, Breezy Bruin of Juggernaut's fame, Tame One of the Artifacts, Elda Sensei is a dope rapper, shout out to El, and Vast Air of Cannibal Ox fame. Aesop Rock hadn't even joined the group yet, but with the OG lineup, the group went by the name of The Weathermen. The name is a derivative of the left Marxist group Weather Underground. You may have seen that meme where it's a photo of the supposed gang with the Scooby-Doo characters, and it just also has like the details of the group in the wiki facts section. That if you even seen it before. Anyways, that is definitely a talented group of lyrical killers. Copyright, Cage, Breezy Bruin, and Jakai are my favorite members of the original lineup. Aesop Rock would be another one of my favorites, though he joined like I mentioned earlier. Cage between 1999 and 2002 was featured on several different songs. In 1999, he was featured on the High and Mighty's album Home Field Advantage, and it was on the song In Outs. The album's actually pretty dope, and my favorite songs on this album are The Meaning, In Outs, Top Prospects, produced by The Alchemist, and features evidence of dilated peoples, and also Tafari, a rapper from Los Angeles. B-Boy Document 99, which features Mos Def and Mad Skills, is also a good track, and The Last Hit, a song that features Eminem, which is also pretty dope as well. It's crazy though, this album is the only album with original material to feature both Cage and Eminem, and I guess Paul Rosenberg, Eminem's manager, who's on one of the skits on the album, but ooh, excuse me. And I said original material because there is a compilation album by Eastern Conference Records in 2002 that features an original version of The Last Hit by Eminem and other Cage songs on that album as well. That compilation album is actually one of my favorite compilation albums in hip hop. Compilation hip hop albums. And I think Cage stole the show on that entire compilation album. And let's just go back to the album real quick. In Outs is a dope song, like I mentioned, and I am positively sure that title comes from the movie Clockwork Orange, where it involves that scene where the girl is being stripped nude while her husband is being beaten. I'm just assuming. I have only watched the movie and not read the book, so it probably did happen in the book, though I do remember them saying the good old in outs in the movie during that scene. Cage was also featured on the Porn Theater song Balloon Knots from 2000, where it samples a few Cage lines during the chorus. Whether it was the Loaded 3002 line from the song 54 by Cage, which was the demo before that was thrown on Porn Again, or Agent Orange's beginning speech by Alex the Worm King saying, Right. He was also featured on Copyright's album on the song Tower of Babel, Another fire song, and in my opinion, one of Cage's best features on any song he's done. Ready Aim on that album is also pretty good. I just have to say that. I recommend that album to anybody who's into that type of hip hop. Very dope lyrically and also dope production wise. He wasn't credited as only Cage on that song Tower of Babel though. He was credited under the Smut Peddlers name. Let's rewind a little bit. Cage, along with the High and Mighty duo, made the trio Smut Peddlers in or around 1999 or 2000. On February 13th, 2001, the trio's only album, Porn Again, was released. The album cover featured Beetlejuice with Woman Around Him. No, right there. Looks pretty cool, right? Originally slated for a March 5th, 2001 release, which was a Monday, not a Tuesday. And back then, music, at least in the United States, released on a Tuesday. And March 6th, 2001 would have made more sense, But anyways, during this time, Beetlejuice was seen around the Eastern Conference Records a lot. For example, during a concert on July 14th, 2000, Beetlejuice dressed up as Superman and danced with them on stage. Another time, he dressed up as Santa Claus and was just was on stage just rocking around with them. The album Porn Again is actually a pretty dope album. Talk Like Sex Part 2 with Cool G Rap, Amazing Feats, That Smut, 54, Medicated Minutes, Anti-Heroes with Copyright, and Bottom Feeders with R.A. the Rugged Man, where they even shot a music video for that song. It's on Vimeo, it's a pretty wild music video, are my favorite songs from that album. It was also Cage's first album released as an artist. Even if it wasn't a solo release, it was still his album with the Smut Peddlers. The album charted 184th on the Billboard's Top 200, charted 10th on the Heatseekers charts, and was received pretty well amongst hip-hop and music magazines. That Smut even featured German rapper Kool Savas on a remix version of that song. Years later, in 2005, Cage told hip-hop journalist Moosey Reeves about his thoughts on the Porn Again album. I definitely regret Smut Peddlers. Smut Peddlers is a joke. Everything on the Smut Peddlers record I wrote in the first 30 minutes. The whole Beetlejuice thing was disturbed. It was raucous, throwing a disabled person into the group for laughs, as if that was going to do something for us. I didn't have anything to do with any direction of the record, the artwork, or anything. I showed up, I did my verses, and collected like 15,000 to 20,000, and that was that. That's where I will conclude episode 1 on hip-hop's anti-hero Cage Kennels. Tell me what you think of this video. And should I have made episode 1 shorter than what it was because I included his early life up until around 2001-2002, where he was officially an established artist in the hip-hop world. I did not include his beef with Eminem in this video because that has been covered a lot, and I'm pretty sure it's basic knowledge for any Cage fan, or at least to any Cage fan that knows him for his hip-hop work, and maybe not a Cage fan that's only familiar with his Depart From Me album. Anyways, this is my first attempt at a video like this. I hope you enjoyed. More episodes coming soon. Take care.